All right, YouTube, Donald Trump just went nuclear. I wouldn't use that buzz term like the boom, oh, see how Trump owns somebody thing, unless it were serious. On Twitter, he made two tweets and he just, I think, fundamentally just shifted the paradigm of public debate on what does and does not constitute conservatism. Let me read these tweets to you, and you'll probably see why. Link in the description to Trump's Twitter. I'm not going to link both of the tweets in there, but you can just go through and you'll see them. Let's see what Donald Trump has to say in two parts here about Graham and McCain's joint statement that they did on sort of like the immigration ban stuff earlier. Tweet number 1. The joint statement of former presidential candidates John McCain and Lindsey Graham is wrong. They are sadly weak on immigration. The 2. Second tweet. Senators should focus their energies on ISIS, illegal immigration, and border security instead of always looking to start World War III. Many props to Donald Trump for being willing to do, and this has been a frequent criticism, of course, of his political opponents and the corporate media. But much kudos to him for being willing to break with the long-standing tradition of non-aggression within party at the same time that he's also ignoring the media apparatus and choosing to take to social media to say what needs to be said. I've said for years, and the Democrats have said for years, John McCain is a war hawk. He's really a chicken hawk. Okay, yeah, he was tied up and tortured long ago. That does not mean that his policies are good proposals. John McCain is one of those people who didn't learn from being tortured, didn't learn from being a prisoner of war, and still is a warmonger, wants other young men and women to have to go through the same ordeal as him. So props to you for being willing to say that about him. That's one of the things, not so much as policy proposals, but that's one of the things that I've admired about Trump for some time. That he does this instead of holding back and trying to be polite and saying, oh, well, I respectfully disagree with the wonderful senator from Arizona. He says, no, he's trying to start World War III, and that's exactly what he's trying to do. It's exactly what the Clintonians have been trying to do for some time. It's Clinton, it's McCain, it's Obama, it's the Bush family, it's all of these people together. Lindsey Graham's one of them. Lindsey Graham has a little bit more common sense than John McCain. John McCain couldn't debate his way out of a paper bag. John McCain had to call upon his fans and his backup within the corporate media to try to lay waste to Trump when he dared to point out the fact that things that he said were wrong on foreign policy. Oh, but you can't say that because he was a war hero. He was a prisoner of war. That doesn't mean that his proposals have been good. That doesn't mean that bomb Iran is a good idea. My goodness. So finally we have somebody with the balls within politics to actually say what fucking needs to be said. Now I say it all the time here on YouTube. You say it on YouTube. People say it on blogs. People say it on Facebook pages, wherever they happen to be. They're always talking about how John McCain's just an asshole, intent upon destroying the Persian people, destroying Russia, starting a nuclear conflict. They say the same about Clinton. They say the same about all these people. But then you finally get a politician up there who says the same thing, which is the obvious truth, and then everybody hounds them like, oh, how can you, this is so impolite, it's so unpresidential. Well, how exactly is it presidential, or a sign of good character, to hold back and not criticize people the way they are meant to be criticized when they have shitty ideas? When John McCain and Lindsey Graham come out and say, oh no, we can't ban immigration from these states, despite the fact that multiple presidents in the past have done so in times of stress to try to figure out what's going on before we end up getting ourselves hurt. When they do that, that is stupid. You don't have to believe, oh, well, Islam bad. Okay, what about nationality? That's what this boils down to. It's talking about destabilized areas of the world and temporarily halting immigration from them. It has nothing to do with, oh, I fucking hate Islam, kick all the Muslims out of the United States. Meanwhile, people would rather believe, they'd rather pretend that Trump is likely to start a nuclear war when he's trying to at least conduct some level of diplomacy with the Russians. I would think that's the opposite of how you start a nuclear war. One of the biggest risks isn't that someday some random lunatic presses the little red button. It's that diplomacy breaks down. And because there's not enough talking going on back and forth between these two states, that something happens that's dreadfully wrong and things spiral out of control. Cuban Missile Crisis style, or Dr. Strangelove style. Something goes wrong somewhere along the line of communication, and that's what it appears he's seeking to avoid. Good for him. Hardball the Chinese. Don't go after the Russians. If you want a real nuclear threat, you're looking at Russia. You're not looking at China. Sorry, all of these shit posters, half of whom are probably from China on proxies anyway, want to tell me the Chinese will flatten the United States. No, they won't. It'll never happen. It's just not even physically possible. Oh, 2 nukes would be enough to destroy the United States. You know how many cities there are in the U.S.? You think a nuclear weapon has a 100-mile diameter? As far as its fireball, it's not the way nuclear weapons work. Get real and get with the times. It's about time somebody in politics pointed out what John McCain really is. And keep in mind, this is one of his fellow Republicans. It's not a partisan issue. He's saying, oh, fuck John McCain. I said it too. Said it in 2008. I've said it all throughout. For a decade, I've said fuck John McCain. He's a warmonger. He's a globalist. He's a neocon. He has more in common with the Clintons than he does some members of his own party, in many cases, with like a Rand Paul or a Justin Amash or something like that. Meanwhile, I can just see the reaction. I can imagine the reaction from the so-called liberals, the Democratic partisans, really, and the corporate media will be, oh, Trump is being mean again. Trump's being unkind. He's being impolite. Who cares? What's wrong with that? Is that, what exactly is the problem with the head of the executive branch telling it how it is? You were saying the same thing. Back when John McCain was running against Obama, you said exactly the same thing. If he gets elected, he'll start World War III. He's a warmonger. Screaming about bomb Iran and all this stuff on his hot mic moment. How can we possibly trust him? He'll blow up the world. Now Trump's saying the same thing that you said back during that election. You pretend like, oh no, but that's just hyperbole. That's for when you're running for office. Once you're elected, you're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to calm down and go back to defrauding people. Go back to being a neocon or a neoliberal, being corrupt. The fact that Trump hasn't done that, he's actually making an attempt to carry through with at least some of his campaign promises, is actually now seen as a negative thing by the mainstream media, the so-called press, the corporate press that we've got in this country, the people who take marching orders from D.C. and their partners anyway. They want to pretend that's a bad thing. They want to pretend that it's a bad thing that Trump takes to Twitter because, he can't use the corporate media to report on what he says fairly. He's already used to that. They tried to splice everything out of sorts when he would talk to them before, so he just gave up. I don't blame him whatsoever. He's trying to talk directly to the American people without a filter. You can think that's dangerous all you want. How is it dangerous to point out that John McCain is what everyone has always said that he is, including some Republicans? That I can see. They'll jump down his throat for this one, even if he's right. It's going to be pretty hairy. I can't... how long ago were these even made? Yeah, less than an hour ago is when these tweets were made. So you haven't even seen most of the reaction yet. Oh, just wait. Just wait till CNN gets a hold of it. Oh, John McCain, war hero, glorious, wonderful human being. The same person we called dog shit back in 2007, 2008. Oh, he's our best ally now. He's our greatest hero. He's a wonderful man, prisoner of war, stellar record, long-term senator, just an upstanding, humorous kind of guy. Just ignore the part where he threatened to commit genocide against several other nations. Yeah, just ignore that. He's a wonderful human being and we must defend him against Orange Hitler. Here, Trump is saying what needs to be said. We don't need to be egging on nuclear powers. We need to be focusing on defending ourselves against an enemy that's actually physically there. There are a lot of people who would rather pretend that the Soviet Union's back and Al-Qaeda never existed. Like it's some weird fusion between the era after the USSR collapses, but before 2001, like that era's back, like it's back in the peachy, nifty days of the late 90s or something. It's not where we are. We're in a much more cold, cruel world than that. That illusion was shattered long ago. That's not the world we live in today. We might get another reprieve at some point. That'd be wonderful. We're not getting it now, and we're never going to get it if we don't go hard line against some of the people trying to fuck up our nation. I'll stand against the Libertarian Party on this. They say, no border wall. Oh, we must accept all comers in immigration. I disagree. I don't think that's a libertarian principle at all. because you'd be asking for the destruction of your own nation. It doesn't matter that we're geographically large, well-populated, and have a lot of guns. They can still do a lot of damage, and it gives a cause to bad government to increase its power. Did you not even think of that? You finally have someone in the executive branch who's willing to attack members of his own party when they do something shitty. And that's what John McCain's been doing his whole life. He's a shit fuck. Lindsey Graham's a little bit better. Sometimes he's just kind of a little bit vague and muddled and maybe confused or something. I also think he's gay. Not that it doesn't matter to me. It might matter to the other Republicans there, maybe. Trump probably cares less about that, though, than the fact that he's partnering with John McCain to try to make his life a living hell. Never before, well, at least not in many decades, have we seen something this fucking crazy going on. You got a president who can't even communicate through the media because the media won't allow him to get a word in edgewise, will skew everything that he says and drag him through the mud on an hourly basis. He has to use Twitter to talk to people. Yeah, this is great. It's wonderful. It is in a way. It gives me something to talk about, something to analyze, but it is screwed up. You must admit, things are a little bit confusing right now. They're a little bit messed up. Yeah, the country is fucking messed up. Do I think it's going to lead to, like, civil war? No. That's kind of hyperbole, like the Cal exit crap. That's not going to happen. California will stay in the U.S. If they didn't, then I'd go over there and I'd immediately seize as much land as I can hold because nobody would stand in my way because they're all disarmed anyway. Fuck California, essentially. Jerry Brown, what a retard. But yeah, to see, it's surreal. We've got Trump saying that several members of his own party are attempting to start World War III on Twitter. Yeah. Isn't this fucking great? See, this is what a lot of people voted for. They just wanted to see some crazy shit. They got tired of things being so fucking boring all the time. They said, oh, I'll put the reality star in the office. What could possibly go wrong? Oh, he's doing all right so far. I actually enjoy this. Now, hopefully this sort of thing gets normalized. Yeah, politicians should go into a grudge match on Twitter once in a while. To really hammer out their differences. Stop pretending that everything that they say they have to treat with great politeness. Oh, yeah, I respectfully disagree. No, you don't have to. I don't. Millions of others don't. People in other countries, people in this country, doesn't even make a difference. I don't have to respect what John McCain says because he was a prisoner of war decades ago. I'm not going to. When he suggests killing tens of millions of people, it makes him a fuckwad. And it's about fucking time that somebody took him out behind the woodshed and beat his ass from within his own party. And apparently Trump wants to do that. Now, it'll be funny to see John McCain, the perennial loser. It'll be funny to see how he responds to this, so it's going to be great. He'll probably go on Twitter. He'll probably try to air his grievances too. Oh, Donald Trump's a big meanie, big bully. Ooh, you were a never Trumper. It's not like he's going to mollycoddle you. What did you expect? You stood in his way for months. He didn't even attack Hillary Clinton. At the end of the day, look, you probably voted for Hillary Clinton at the end of the day. Your fellow neocon, your fellow warmonger, who also wanted to invade and kill everybody in Iran. Yeah, no wonder you were a never Trump Republican. Yeah, I think I understand now how these things fit together. That's about all. Peace out.